Casio WV58A. Although it says on the box WV58R1ACF. No. This is a WV58A. If you search for this on Amazon or eBay, WV58A, which is the resin strap version, this is the one I'll be covering, or if you want the metal bracelet version, that is the WV58DA, D as in Delta. So let's take a look at this. What does the WV stand for? Wave Ceptor. And what does that mean? That means radio control, otherwise known to most as atomic timekeeping. What does that mean? It means it synchronizes time and date once a day. Now, what exactly does it synchronize? The time, the weekday, the month, the day, and the year. Does it accommodate for daylight savings time? Yes. Does it accommodate for leap years? Yes. So you could just strap this on, and as long as that little symbol is there, or you see your last synchronized time, which I'll get to in a second, yeah, you can just put this on, wear it, and not think about it. So this will synchronize either in the United States at the Fort Collins, Colorado time server once a night, or in Europe at the Rugby time server. That's what the manual says anyway. So let's just get that part out of the way first before even getting to the other settings and such. Okay. So when you're looking at the main timekeeping screen here, okay, this bottom right button right here, that's the get screen. Now when I press that, it says get right here, and what that tells me is the last time that this watch successfully synchronized the time and date, which would be December 20, 2023 at 3:33 p.m. because I did a manual sync, which I will get to in a moment. Now, before doing you don't have to do a manual sync. You can have set up the automatic. We'll get to that in a minute. But to do a manual sync, the only thing you have to remember, and I'm using the bottom left here, do not have a countdown timer running. If it is running, and the manual does say this, if there is a countdown timer running, the manual sync will not work. And to prove this, I'll just start a timer, go back to main timekeeping. Now what you're supposed to do for a manual sync is to press and hold this. If I do that right now, nothing, because the countdown timer is running. So I will stop, reset that, back to main timekeeping. Okay, now in order to get the manual sync to work, what the manual says to do is to place the watch in a window, and supposedly with this is where the antenna is at the top of the watch, and you have it facing outward, outside, and then do your manual sync, and within 7 minutes or less, usually around 1 to 3 minutes, it will synchronize. So to do manual sync, you press and hold the bottom right, and it will say RC down here with an exclamation point, which means radio control. See, now it's trying to sync right now. Now I'm going to interrupt this. I'm just going to stop. Okay, that is how you do it. You start that manual sync, you put it in the window, and you wait, and hopefully it will work. And the reason I say hopefully is that during daylight hours, there's more radio traffic going on, and the likelihood of it not synchronizing increases, because you want to do this at night, which this will, and I'll explain how this does this at night in a moment, because radio traffic at that time is lowest. That's why you would do that. Okay, now this little guy right here, that is the little radio symbol. And what it does is that I believe it's in 3 segments. If it's completely out, that means, oh, I don't have any, I could not sync, or I can't get reception. If it shows just one little bottom bar, it's got a little, it's basically a low, medium, high type of thing. If it shows one little bar, okay, I've got a little bit of reception. If it shows the all of it, then it's got high reception. If it shows some of it, then it's got medium reception. And with that said, okay, should I get to the, nope, I'll describe one more thing before getting to the other settings, is how to mute the beeps. Yes, you can mute beeps on this thing. When on main timekeeping, if you press and hold the bottom left, see right there? I'll do it again just so you can see it. See, it went out. I'll press and hold it and watch right there. That little note with the strikeout, now what that means is that when I'm going mode to mode using the bottom left, you do not hear beeps. You will still hear it when an alarm sounds. It will beep for that. It will also beep for hourly signal, I think. Yeah, hourly signal, alarm, and at the end of a countdown timer. You'll hear those beeps, but you will not hear any mode to mode beeps. That's what that means. And to disable it, you just press and hold again for 2 seconds until that strikeout goes away. There we go. Now we can hear beeps once again. Now we'll get to the settings. Okay. To get to the settings, press and hold top left. And the first thing that happens is that you will select your time zone. Time zone affects two things. Obviously, it affects what time is being displayed and what time server that it will actually try to communicate with when it tries to synchronize 1 to 6 times per night. Now, I have mine set to CHI, Chicago, because that central time for me. But you can go backwards and forwards through the time zones with the 2 right side buttons, and notice that it also affects UTC up here as I go through. So, okay, I'm over here. Now, if I had it set to London and automatic time sync, it will attempt to communicate with the London time server and the rugby time server, which I don't want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and set it back to CHI. Just take a second to get there. Okay, that was LAX, Denver, Mexico, Chicago. Now, if you just do this and you exit these settings by pressing the top left once, and let's just say you don't do a manual sync, and you just leave it in the window overnight, when you get up the next morning, the time should be correct, and the date. Should be. But just in case it's not. Okay, we're back in the settings here. So you've successfully set your time zone. We go to the next field by pressing bottom left. Now, auto, what does that mean? That basically means whether you want to have daylight savings time, see that DST up there, as automatic, off completely, or always on. Now, when it says on, that doesn't mean automatic. That just means always on. Similar to how off means always off. Auto means that it will attempt to get this information when it syncs every night. So I leave that one on auto. When you're done with that, bottom left. This is where we set 12 or 24-hour time, bottom right to adjust. So now it's 1815, and now it is 6:15 because 12H, 24H. Okay. Next field, bottom left. If we were doing a manual time sync like a regular plain quartz watch, this is the part where we do it. So we're on the seconds right now, and if I was to reset this second, I would press this bottom right, and it would reset it to 0. Press bottom left, go to hour, adjust with these two, either forward or back, and then when you're done, bottom left, adjust the minute the same way, This one, we set the year, which right now is 2023. Adjust with this or this. Next one, we go to month and day. Now, I'm going to, we'll get to this in just a moment, but you can set this to display day month instead of month day. Because I'm in the United States, I'm using month day. And we would adjust the month using these two, and then press bottom left. Adjust the day with these two, and then bottom left. Here we can choose the language of the watch, which more or less only affects the day of the week. I have it set to English, but we can go to Spanish, or French, or Portuguese, or Chinese, German, Italian, Russian, Japanese, and that's it. I have it set to English. When you're done with that, press bottom left. And here is the section where we can set to month, day, or day, month. So if I press the bottom right, watch what happens up here. See, it flipped it. Now it's day, month, and it says DM down there. Press it again, back to month, day, MD. Press bottom left, and we're back to the front where we started, where we select the time zone, and then press top left to exit, and we're done here. All right. Other features of this watch. We have world time, which we can... Now, can I go backwards with this? No, I can't. Okay. So you can only move forwards with this one. I have it set to London, which is in effect UTC. Now, before we go and select another time zone, what I can do here is press the top left and hold it. And that enables or disables daylight savings time per this time zone. So if it was London summertime or something like that, I can go ahead and enable or disable that. And to turn off the DST, press and hold top left, goes away. And then the only other thing we can do from here is select another time zone. So I'm just going through them right now. And notice that the UTC offset does change along with the time zone. So I'm just going through them. So we'll just get back over to London, which I use for UTC. All right, next, bottom left, the timer. This is only a 60-minute timer. That's all it will do. Again, no auto repeat. We can adjust it by pressing the top and holding the top left. Fortunately, you can go backwards or forwards, which is nice. I like that. Can you set seconds on this? Nope, it's minutes only. So if I press bottom left, it won't change to the seconds field. We only have a 1 to 60 minute timer, and if I set it to this is 1 minute. Also notice that it does keep the current time at the top of the panel. I like that, it's nice. When I'm done, I press the top left, and then to start the countdown timer, bottom right, there it goes. No, it does not show hundredths or tenths of a second. It's just simple timer. Stop with the bottom right, reset with the top left. Okay. Next, stopwatch. Just like any other Casio stopwatch you've ever seen, start with the bottom right. And we do get our tenths and hundredths of a second on this one. Stop with the bottom right. Reset. Oh, look at that. I got it on. Oh! You don't see that very often. I stopped it directly on the 0. Woo! Lucky! I should buy a lottery ticket. Reset with the top left. And you can do the split time, lap time thing if the first and second runner finishes. Start the stopwatch. Also notice again, it does keep the current time at the top of the panel. Again, very nice. So, first runner is about to cross the finish line and does. Because this is blinking up here, stopwatch is still running. And the second place runner is about to cross the finish line and does. Notice how this is stopped. Okay, so 12, 9, 0.98 second was the first runner's finish time, and I'll use this button to get the second runner's finish time, which is 25.74 second, and to reset top left. Right. Next, we got the alarm section. Now let's see, is it this one? No, it's this one down here. Okay, I'll show this part first. Bottom right, before setting the alarm, watch right above my thumb here. If I press it once, that means the alarm is enabled for the time being displayed, which is 11 p.m. If I press it again, now this is hourly signal, which means at the top of every hour, this watch will beep twice. If I press it again, we have both the alarm and the hourly signal enabled. If I press it again, both are disabled, and I believe if I press and hold it, it will do a test of the alarm tone. Yep. And it will continue to do this until I let go. If both of these are out and I press the top left to set the alarm, it will automatically assume that, oh, you want to hear it. So see that? It turns it on when you go to set the alarm. Okay, so we've pressed and held the top left, and now we are setting the alarm hour. Again, this is single alarm, no multi-alarm in this. We can go forward or back. Also a very nice touch, look at the top left of the display when you're in 12-hour time. A, P. That is nice. A lot of Casio watches do not show AM. They will, it will show the AM hours, but it doesn't actually say A. This one does. That's cool. And then press bottom left to go to the minute, and then set what minute you want. And then press top left to exit. And the alarm is currently enabled. And remember, use bottom right to do the alarm enabled, hourly signal enabled, both alarm and hourly signal enabled, or both disabled. So I'll just turn that one on. Next, nothing. We're done. Okay, nice. So a few final comments about this thing. I do have a 6.6-inch wrist. This thing, let me put on the wrist again. This fits. I was worried about that because I didn't get to try it before I bought it. But this one, yes. This guy does fit and fits well. So, okay, I am able to tuck that tail. It does not go, obviously doesn't go above the watch. But, oh yeah. And the reason it fits so well, even though the dimensions would suggest otherwise, is that it has a nice, good old downturn there. And actually, let me take it off the wrist again so I can show you. Okay, so yeah, we've got a nice, rather almost severe downturn, which for the small-wristed folk, oh yeah, this is nice. Very nice. Works out. And also notice, no stupid ridges on the strap. So it won't dig in to your wrist at all. Yes, it's a proprietary strap, which means I'll show this again. Okay, so, get out of that camera. Yeah, you see the lugs right there? Yeah, this is, if you were desperate enough, yeah, I suppose you could put a leather strap on this thing, but it does that typical get out of the way. It does that typical Casio thing where you've got the lugs and then a little skinny part in the middle, and it goes into a T shape, sort of, to go outward to the strap. That is a Casio thing. Fortunately, the strap has some decent thickness to it. And like I said, I can tuck that under. Like, I can get this all the way up. There we go. Look at that. On small-wristed folk, such as myself, yes, this absolutely works. I'm not sure if this part is actual real metal or not. Now I know the case back is real metal. This might be that Casio looks like metal, but it actually isn't. Even if it's not, it still looks nice. And this is one of the cheapest ways to get radio synchronized time control, which is the reason I bought it. I like it. It fits well. It tells me everything I need to know. And that is what I will end on for this. This is the watch that you get when you get sick of setting the time. Like, especially if you got a bunch of watches. If you hate setting the time, well, maybe you don't hate it, but you just get annoyed by it. And you just say, I just want to put on something. I just want it to set itself. I don't want to worry about it. That is why you get this. That is why you get this. It is not the most feature-rich watch there is. Not by a long shot. Even in the Casio range, because there are G-Shock watches with GPS and Bluetooth and all this synchronization capability. This is just radio controlled with the time server in Colorado. That is what this does. And in theory, what you can do is that every 2 to 3 years, because that's how much the battery lasts in this, which by the way is a CR1620. I think it's a 1620. Yeah, pretty sure. So this is not solar. This is just radio control. So anyway, 2 to 3 years, you get battery life out of this, where you can just put it on, and without pressing anything, you get all that you need. Month, day, year, time, day of the week, which is what you need. I mean, that is the purpose of wearing a watch, more or less. And moreover, because it synchronizes 1 to 6. Okay, yeah. This is the last thing I'll say. How often does this thing synchronize? Well, the manual says that in the United States or in Europe, depending where you have it, what time server you have it set to, at midnight it will make its first attempt and then try 6 more times. And if, let's just say, it successfully synchronizes on the first try, then it stops until the next night. But if it fails, then it will try again an hour later, and then an hour later, and then an hour later, and it will keep doing it until it successfully synchronizes the time and date. And you can tell when it, again, if you just press the bottom right, it will tell you the last time it successfully was able to synchronize. So you can verify, did it do it? Yes, you can. And then press it again to get back to main timekeeping. Are you sick of setting watches? Get a Wave Ceptor.